WandaVision stars Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, and this series is directed by Matt Shankman. After Avengers Endgame, I was a little concerned about the longevity of the MCU, since most of my favorite characters are no longer a part of this franchise. I was generally interested in the concept of a show of Wanda and Vision being stuck in a sitcom world, though, in my opinion, before the show came out, Wanda and Vision were kind of B-tier MCU characters. In the MCU, Wanda and Vision were more supporting characters, and I wasn't exactly sure if they could carry their own TV series. And also, this review shouldn't stray that much different from my standard movie reviews, since it is a miniseries. And on one final note, this review will contain spoilers to WandaVision. So if you've never seen this series and you want to avoid any and all spoilers, I would highly recommend skipping to this annotation, so you can receive my spoiler-free thoughts and my final grade on this episode. And also, I will leave that timestamp in the description. So if you want to skip to it, go click down here. In my opinion, the first 3 episodes of this series were kind of lackluster. I mean, they were compelling and all, but I just really got tired of the idea of a sitcom starring Wanda and Vision. I kind of wanted more answers, if you know what I mean. But after the 3rd episode, the show did pick up its pace, and we got more questions, and even some answers, if you know what I mean. But first 3 episodes were kind of a drag, in my opinion. This show really grabbed my attention at the end of episode 3, when we found out that Wanda was actually controlling this sitcom world, and the moment where she kicks Monica Rambeau out of this world. That was when I actually started to get really interested, because it kind of gave me the idea, wait, is Wanda actually the villain of this series? And that left me, like, super compelled, and I was actually starting to look forward to each episode, and I actually began to get really compelled. I also really enjoy the episode where we go into the real world, and we get to see everyone's perception of this Westview anomaly, and we get to see some familiar faces also, like Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Darcy from the Thor movies, and an older Monica Rambeau. Oh yeah, and on one more note, you know, the citizens of Westview, they're not just Wanda's creations. They're actual people that she is mind controlling and kind of holding hostage. Though when I truly got invested in this series was episode 5, particularly at the end, when we get to see Evan Peters reprise his role as Quicksilver. I love his performance as Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. In my opinion, he blows Aaron Taylor Johnson out of the water. And this also opened the door to the multiverse, so we thought. More on that later. And I just loved being able to see his performance again, because I was almost sure after the Disney-Fox merger we were never going to see his Quicksilver again. Also, the Halloween episode was tons of fun. Seeing Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in their classic comic book accurate costumes was a nice little touch. I also love how, as this series went on, we got to explore Wanda's psyche, or her grief. We learned that as a reaction to her grief, she decides to self-isolate herself and live in this little imaginary world where she's married to her dead robot boyfriend and even has children with him. Also, the whole twist villain aspect was kinda iffy for me. I didn't really find Agatha that compelling or interesting of a villain. I just kind of felt like she was there just to drag Wanda across the plot and to make her the Scarlet Witch at the end. She really wasn't much of a character, if you know what I mean. Vision's character arc is actually really tragic. It is even more tragic than what Wanda has to go through in this series, in my opinion. though we get to see him realize that he shouldn't exist and he should actually be dead. And all this is actually really sad to see. I also love the episode where we get to travel to Wanda's past, literally, and we get to see why Wanda has decided to go down this path and why she is the person she is today. This episode was kind of exposition heavy, though it didn't fail to compel me, if you know what I mean. But when the series finale came out, I was beyond hyped. I remember waking up first thing in the morning and turning this on. I was overall kind of satisfied with the series finale, but I was really, really disappointed in one aspect, and you can already guess what it is. Quicksilver or Ralph Boner. I was more disappointed in the fact that they just kind of decided to make a big joke out of everything and really just cast Evan Peters for a dick joke. The more I think about it, he really didn't have to be Peter Maximoff from the X-Men movies, but at the same time, why did they go in this direction? I wish that there was more of a satisfying conclusion to his character, rather than just, ha ha ha, boner, so funny. Again, it was kind of ballsy for Marvel to go in this direction. No pun intended. Actually, when I think about it, this might be my biggest problem with the greater MCU. They're given golden opportunities to introduce such interesting story arcs and even go in some serious directions, but instead they just decide to brush it off and tell a lame joke. They did it in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin. They did it again in Spider-Man Homecoming with Aunt May finding out that Peter is Spider-Man. And they did it again here. Though the aspects I was satisfied with were the various character moments. Like, for example, the conversation between Vision and the alternate Vision. And I really enjoyed the moment where Wanda finally embraced the mantle of the Scarlet Witch. And her costume literally looks ripped straight from the comics. The scene where Wanda is forced to say goodbye to her children and Vision is actually really heartbreaking. And overall, the series finale was pretty satisfying. The good does outweigh the bad, though I just can't get over the whole Ralph Boner debacle. I am now really interested to see where they're going to take Wanda's character throughout the greater MCU, especially in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It would be really dope if she became a villain, though. Overall, WandaVision was a pretty compelling and fun little series, though this show does lose a few points in my book because of a few very questionable character decisions and a lackluster first few episodes, though I would still highly recommend checking this series out if you haven't already. And overall, WandaVision gets a B. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review of WandaVision, and if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Eddie Vedder and Tony Hawk. Thanks for watching.